Yo, what is going on, guys? This is ya boy, West for Show, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about this game, Revelation Online. The closed beta will begin fall of 2016, which is this year, which is very soon, which makes me freaking fired up. So, here's the thing. I actually just learned about this game this week, actually, through YouTube videos, through reviews, and firsthand play from the Chinese edition of the game. People have been playing it from over there and having ping issues from the US and stuff like that. But personally, I don't really enjoy doing that. I'm not going to get into that. And I'm just going to wait for the closed beta, the open beta, and maybe then I will jump on board and start making content. But as of right now, I just wanted to introduce the game to you guys and kind of discuss a little bit about why I am excited, because this is entirely a rough draft. This isn't like some scripted review video. It's not the most professional thing, but I just wanted to share a few thoughts and just really share my enjoyment for this game, because MMORPGs, if you don't know, they've been in a very bad spot lately. It's been kind of on a decline as far as the market goes, as far as player base goes. You know, you have World of Warcraft, you have Guild Wars 2, you have Final Fantasy, and a bunch of other games, ESO, things like that. But the number of players is just slowly dwindling down, and it seems like there hasn't really been a game or a couple games that have come out to really turn the tables. You know, we had Blade and Soul and we had Black Desert Online that came out recently, which kind of sparked interest in people until Blade and Soul kind of started falling off, because it was really only about the 1v1 PvP. You know, there were some cool other aspects about the game, but it kind of fit a certain niche. And then Black Desert Online had a lot of issues with this whole pay-to-win scheme and all kinds of other reasons that people were leaving that game. But they were promising. You know, they brought some interest back into the MMO community. They brought some hope, and next thing you know, we're plummeting back to square one like we did years ago. This happens multiple times in the MMORPG community, and it's kind of becoming more of a niche type genre nowadays, which is, I honestly think it's a good thing, because MMORPGs have been around for such a long time, and they were a defining genre in online gaming, and they kind of turned the tables around. And then you have all of these other online games coming out, such as Minecraft, such as MOBAs, and it kind of brought this new age and this new growth of other genres, and it just kind of launched from there. So I really think MMORPGs set the table for something big in online gaming, and that's great. But now we're getting back to step one, where it felt like before World of Warcraft was even a thing, or when it was still new, and we had games like City of Heroes, Guild Wars, Ultima Online, we had EverQuest, and it was kind of just like this small tight-knit community, and we were always just like kind of enjoying ourselves in our own little worlds of gaming, while everybody else was playing single-player games. They were playing, you know, whatever the heck else there was back then, Smash Bros, Mario, Zelda, Sonic, like doing whatever they had to do, and we were just online enjoying our own little games. And it blew off after EverQuest and after Ultima Online, and then the big beast of World of Warcraft came out, and next thing you know, it launches off into this big, huge open expanse. And then now it seems like in today's time we're kind of going back nearer to square one, where it's becoming more of this niche genre again, even though it is in a new light now, because we have Twitch TV and we have YouTube, and it's on a whole nother scale than it ever was. So it's different now. It's different now, but it's still kind of square one, and I kind of enjoy it. I think there's hope for the future in the MMORPG genre. I've played nearly every MMORPG that's been released since, I guess, 2004. I mean, I was really young back then, so I had no experience back then. I was just a little kid pressing buttons and not knowing what I was doing. I was a clicker. My first real MMORPG was City of Heroes. It wasn't even World of Warcraft. So I come from the actual hardcore niche group of MMORPG players. That's why probably I'm optimistic about it. Some people may be the opposite. They may think it's just going to be on a straight decline forever until a new game comes out and turns the tides. And that is what it is. You can consider it whatever you want to consider it. But that's just the way I look at it. I find hope, because there are games like Revelation Online that are coming out. There are games that are coming out that are really fitting what the community wants in certain aspects of the MMORPG genre, but they're not all encompassing. There's games like Guild Wars 2 now. I feel like Guild Wars 2, ArenaNet tries so hard to fill every single role of an MMORPG, from PvP, doing esports, having raids now, having dungeons and fractals, and then having mini games, and then having a good storyline to it, and then having all of these different aspects that they're trying to fit every role to the point that it's kind of causing the community to like ask for things that there's really no way they can receive it, because ArenaNet's just providing so much content all the time that really it's a great thing, but at the same time, it's hard to meet every player's needs and wants in the community when you're trying to dish out like a little piece of everything, if that makes sense. Because people could be asking for better PvP, but if you're trying to focus on the whole plate, it's hard to just satisfy only PvP players, because once you begin to do that, then you start taking away from PvE players and so on and so forth. And that's kind of, honestly, that relates to the WoW community a little bit. You know, PvP has always been kind of a back and forth, unbalanced mess in World of Warcraft. Not that it's bad. The PvP is fun. Some people enjoy it, some others don't. But, you know, it's never really been balanced. Not every class has always really fit where they needed to fit. There's always flavors of the month, and there's always buffs and nerfs, and it's always just going back and forth, because it's all balanced around really how the PvE handles things. It's really not that separate. And I think through Legion, they're kind of taking a turn to make it kind of separate and to kind of balance it a little more aside from PvE. And, you know, I don't have the most experience on that, so I don't want to talk too much about it, because people might get crazy up in here listening to my ridiculous, unconventional opinions about World of Warcraft PvP when I don't even play World of Warcraft. You know, but I'm excited, because Revelation Online, I think, is going to turn the tables. I think it is going to be a game that will bring more hope to the MMORPG community. You know, you have Blade and Soul, you have Black Desert. They tried to do it. It didn't work, unfortunately. But you have Revelation Online, which looks promising. I think the only thing that is really setting the MMORPG community off is one of two things, and that is either the fact that it is made by, you know, that it's developed by NetEase, and then I think the publisher will be my.com or whatever the case it is, and they've had some past experience with pay-to-win schemes and some issues along those lines, and some players are worried because it's a Chinese MMORPG coming to the Western world, and typically when we have Eastern MMORPGs come to the Western world, they tend not to work out that well. You know, you have Ion, you have Terra, you have well, I just said Terra, you have Blade and Soul, you have Black Desert, you have all these different games that have come out from the Korean markets and from even other ones from the Eastern side of things, and they always come up with this cash shop system, all of this stuff that players just get turned off by, you know, in the Western MMORPG community, because most of us come from WoW in the Western MMORPG community. I would have to assume that. Statistically, I don't know if that's the case, but I would have to say most of us MMORPG players in the Western world come from World of Warcraft, and we expect a glorified PvP system, a polished game, raids and PvE, and all of these different things to make it just feel like a normal game. And, you know, you have these other markets throwing out cash shops at us, throwing out buy-to-play systems at us, throwing out outfits and pretty things, and all of these like random things you can just buy in-game with real money, and it's just kind of like, it's different. We're not used to it, and it kind of feels a little uncomfortable. You know, you can buy things in WoW with real money, but it's just a few mounts and a few like tickets to like change your character's appearance and stuff. It's not really that normal. You know, you jump in Terra Online and people are buying outfits left and right with bunny ears and sunglasses and scarves, and same thing for Guild Wars 2, but Guild Wars 2 isn't as bad. Guild Wars 2 isn't as bad with it. It's kind of more, it feels kind of natural in Guild Wars 2 based on how the community works. It's kind of a role-playing thing most of the time, which I understand. Coming from City of Heroes, it makes sense, the Guild Wars 2 system of doing things, and it's fine. But I think a lot of people are worried about another Eastern MMO coming to the Western world, and the MMORPG community at least, and we're worried that it's just going to be another fluke. That's the step one, because we've seen it happen since like a decade probably by now, that this other game comes out, it looks like World of Warcraft, it looks promising, oh, it flopped. Okay, we have another game, it's building upon World of Warcraft, but it's giving us this, you can fly in this one. Oh, wait, but it's gonna flop. Okay, you have this other MMO, and you can do, it's action combat, you don't even have to tab target anymore. Oh, and then it flops. You have this other game with amazing raids, and it's so difficult and all this stuff, and then months later they dish out and make the content way easier, and they do all of these things that the community gets upset by, then everyone leaves and gets offended and goes back to World of Warcraft. It flops. It's happened time and time and time and time again ever since World of Warcraft began to be the game to go to, per se, which isn't a dish on World of Warcraft, because it's a good game. It's done its job. It's redefined gaming as a whole online, and it's incredible. But there's so many players that are expecting things that they never receive with these MMORPGs, and so I think that's the issue number one. I think issue number two, we don't want another flop. We don't want to get overhyped for another WoW killer that's not going to be up to par, and we also don't want another cash shop failed buying system. We just want to either buy the game, we want to subscribe to the game, or we want to get the game for free and buy like things that aren't going to affect your stats in game. You know, that's really all we want. Those are the three things that are really putting most MMOR players off. We literally just want a polished game. That's really all we ask for, and what we've always asked for, and it seems like we never do really receive that, which most of that's on our parts, but a lot of it is these companies try and fulfill different niches, or they put a new twist on the game, or they emphasize something more than the other, and they disregard everything else about the game. Or there's so many games that just emphasize in-game compared to leveling, and then, you know, you spend all this time just boring your face off to get to level whatever and get to the end of the game, and then finally you can actually enjoy it a little bit, and you do the only content they have to provide so far, get the best gear, and next thing you know, you feel bored because there's nothing else to do, and it's not really expansive. It's not an immersive game anymore. It's just this grind fest, gear grind, and it's once again the same thing we've always had, which, you know, that's kind of one of the, I really don't know what to word that, but that's something that a lot of players in the MMORPG community argue about, they debate about, you know, this in-game grind, this leveling experience, this immersiveness versus competitiveness, and it's, you know, we just want a game. We literally just want a game, a polished game. Real MMORPG gamers just want a good MMO game, period. That's it. We just want a polished one. It doesn't matter if it emphasizes PvP, if it emphasizes PvE, if it has this system, that system, like just a polished, overall, rounded game that caters towards MMORPG players. You know, there's going to be competitive people who are put off by it being too casual. There's going to be casual people quitting because they get put off for it being too competitive, or whatever the case may be. But we just want a well-polished game. That's why I'm excited for Revelation Online, because it is literally taking an aspect from every single MMORPG in the past and using them and combining every single one of them together in like this stirring pot and making this what looks like a masterpiece out of it. Because if I were to design my own MMORPG, I would do the same thing. I would literally look, okay, I'll be like, hey guys, look, let's look at what every other MMORPG in the past that has succeeded has done, what players have liked from each of them, even if they didn't succeed. Let's see what they brought to the table and what they did positively, and let's try and make them all work together. And what do you know? Revelation Online, on the PvP side of things, it has arenas, it has battlegrounds, it has 20, 30, 40-man things, it has sieges that have no player caps, so you can have 1,000 versus 1,000 battles to take over cities. It has open world PvP, but you can't do it until level cap so that the high-level players won't ruin your leveling experience and troll you all the time. You have raids, you have dungeons, you have different levels of dungeons, you have easy mode, hard mode, god mode, you have amazing armor, and they look different and unique, so every time you put on a new piece of armor, it looks entirely different. It's not like Black Desert Online, that's the first game that comes to mind, is, you know, you pretty much your entire leveling experience, you change clothes about 20 billion different times, but your look only changes like twice. From level 1 until the highest level, you barely even change your look, but like once. The colors always look the same, the gear always looks the same, and that's also a problem that these, what Eastern games, Eastern MMORPGs bringing over to the Western world, like a lot of those games do kind of the same thing. You know, you have Blade and Soul, which I don't want to comment too much on it, but those games kind of force you to buy their cash shop outfits because their gear just doesn't look that great, you know? It doesn't look different. It doesn't make you feel like you're progressing. And that's really what we want, is to look like we're progressing, to look bad when we put gear on, to look like we have a sick-looking shield when we actually get to level 30 and not have a wooden shield for 50 levels and then finally hit in-game and get a rare one that actually looks half-decent. You know, we don't want that. Revelation's catering to those players. I mean, it's doing literally everything we need. It has action combat. It has tap targeting combat. It has Flying with wings from Ion. Everyone loved flying. It has mounts. Everyone loves mounts. That's one of the issues that turns a lot of people off of Guild Wars 2 is just simply not having mounts and having to walk on feet the whole time, you know? It has water combat. It has air combat, which is something innovative, and it's also something from Ion. It's something from Guild Wars 2 that we've seen in the past. Man, it's so great. It caters to pretty much, it has open world, no loading screens. No loading screens at all. It's open world. We've asked for that. You know, it still has a group finder in the game, and that's okay. I feel like most people like that rather than disregard it, even though sometimes it does take away from the social aspect. I don't know how it's going to work in raids. We'll find that out when it comes to the United States and to EU and things like that. But it's great, man. It's great. It's so amazing that they're actually taking the good ideas from each game and mashing them all up. That's what excites me the most. It's not even that the game looks that polished, or it's looks any better than World of Warcraft, or it looks like another Guild Wars 2 or a WoW killer. Like, I'm not even caring about that anymore. I'm not even invested in a hype train. I'm not even concerned about any of that. I'm more just like, I watched the video, I was watching reviews and researching the information, and just the stuff that they're talking about implementing that they've already implemented, and we have proof in the pudding before we even play the game. That's what excites me. I get hype because I want to get hype because the game is so well polished already and it hasn't even been released yet. That's what excites me. They're not promising false hopes. They're not just dealing with all of this irrelevant junk that a lot of MMOs deal with. They're literally just building upon every game, combining it all together, and making a masterpiece out of it. And I'm excited to play the game. That's really all I have to say, man. This is really just a rant about MMORPGs and the future of Revelation Online, hopefully making a dent in where we're going. And I am hopeful for that. I am hopeful for that. And that's really going to conclude this video. A little longer than I expected it to be, but well worth it. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. Comment your own opinions and thoughts below. And please, please, please make sure to leave a like on this video. I want to try and hit 10 likes on this video. That is my goal. So let's smash that like button. Let's try and meet that goal. If you like the video, please leave a comment with your own opinions and subscribe for more content in relation to Revelation Online. And I do a whole slew of other stuff. So make sure to do that. But this has been your boy, West for Show. And I am signing out. Peace, guys.